Is Senate Bill 5270. And thanks for everyone who is with us today, both virtually and in person, for your patience while we move through exec session and one bill. And here we are with our last bill today. And Kelsey, you are before us. This is Department of Corrections Immigration Assistance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Kelsey Ann Fung, staff to the committee. Before you today is Senate Bill 5270, sponsored by Senator Saldaña, as Madam Chair mentioned, unlimiting Department of Corrections assistance with federal immigration enforcement activities. By way of brief background, federal immigration detainers, holds, and notification requests advise law enforcement agencies that the Department of Homeland Security seeks custody of a person that is presently in the custody of that agency for deportation and removal. Washington state law currently prohibits individuals in state or local custody or in the physical custody of the Department of Corrections from being taken, detained, or held in custody solely for determining immigration status or based solely on a civil immigration warrant or hold request, being denied services, benefits, privileges, or opportunities on the basis of an immigration detainer, hold or notification request, or civil immigration warrant, unless necessary for classification purposes, and from being interviewed by federal immigration authorities without the person's consent while in custody unless required by law. Individuals must also be provided a written explanation of their right to refuse to disclose their nationality, citizenship, or immigration status. Under this bill, there are 5 main components. First, DOC may not assist with the arrest, detention, transfer, interrogation, or deportation of an incarcerated individual for an immigration enforcement purpose in any manner. Second, DOC may not record or enter information on place of birth or immigration or citizenship status into any DOC databases, including Omni, the Offender Management Network Information System, or provide any federal immigration authority with access to its databases. DOC must outline applicable government benefits that the person may be eligible for and may not disclose any information provided by the person for determining benefits eligibility to any federal immigration authority. Third, DOC may not use immigration or citizenship status or a hold or detainer request as a factor to deny privileges, participation, or placement in any DOC program or to determine custodial classification. The bill also removes statutory provisions that exclude or limit participation in certain DOC programs for persons subject to deportation. This includes educational programming, the graduated reentry program, and individual reentry plans. Fourth, the bill provides a cause of action for equitable and declaratory relief against DOC or any state official that violates this act. And lastly, authorization for certain qualifying offenders to be placed on conditional release status and transferred to ICE custody is repealed. There is also a severability clause and emergency clause in the bill. A fiscal note is available and shows costs of more than $50,000 per year to update Omni and make policy and program changes. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the thorough briefing on that bill, and I'm wondering if members have any questions starting off. Senator Saldaña, we believe, is still in exec session in labor, so we are going to start with testimony, and when she comes in, we'll allow her to come up and share her why, but in the interest of time and in the interest of folks in the audience would love to hear testimony. So with that, Vice Chair Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For panel 1, we do have Manuel Abrego, Maru Mora Villalpando, and Elisa Cisneros.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Manuel, please begin.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the Human Service Committee, my name is Manuel Abrego. I am here today to testify in support of SB 5270. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I am a co-director of La Resistencia, an organization dedicated to fighting the injustice of civil detention. I consider myself an expert on civil detention, not by choice, but as a result of a harmful system. I was incarcerated in DOC prisons for 15 years. I committed a crime and I accepted the punishment that came with it. Because I am undocumented, I was denied the opportunity to engage with the rehabilitation programs offered by the prison. Undocumented people in prison are denied the educational, vocational, and work opportunities at Washington prisons. We cannot receive job training, we cannot be on work crews, we cannot strive for technical degree. Undocumented prisoners are only allowed to clean toilets and make beds. U.S. citizens in prisons can improve themselves while they do their time. They can learn valuable skills and join support programs. By denying access to undocumented people, the DOC is saying we do not deserve the opportunity to re-enter our community. They are saying we are not important enough or value enough to receive help. I support SB 5270 because it will ensure all people in DOC custody have access to agencies-run programs that prepare themselves to successful re-entry their community. After I spent 15 years in prison, my family planned to meet me outside the prison to greet me and bring me home. Instead, after I served my full sentence for my crime, Immigration and Customs Enforcement's ICE was waiting for me on the other side of the door. I didn't even get the chance to see my family. I served 15 years in jail, and I was immediately transferred to the Northwest Detention Center and detained an additional 18 months because I filed a deportation against me. I was punished twice for my crime because DOC shares the information of Washington residents under their custody with ICE. Undocumented community members become targets for federal immigration enforcement. SB 5270 will end the information sharing between DOC and ICE and will protect Washington residents from discrimination and inhumane forced family separation. I urge you to vote in favor of SB 527 to protect Washingtonians regardless of their immigration status. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today and appreciate your testimony. Thank you. Maru?
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Maru Mora Villalpando, and I'm also here on behalf of La Resistencia, a grassroots undocumented immigrant-led group. We work directly with people detained in the detention center in Tacoma, Washington, which is a private detention center, and right now holds hundreds of people while they await for a resolution on their civil deportation proceedings. For nearly 9 years now, we have seen how families get broken apart, families that expected their loved ones to be home already. Instead, I'm going to focus right now just on those that have loved ones who serve time in Washington Department of Corrections. All these years, we have heard from families saying, how is it possible that their loved ones finish their sentences in Washington Department of Correction, they get punished again by being sent to the detention center? How it is that our state is part of that. Our state allows federal authorities, ICE, to have access to information on people entering the DOC system or when being released, just because they're not U.S. citizens. Most people detained coming from the Department of Corrections to the detention center have expressed also this belief that our state, which seems progressive and protective of all people, will discriminate against them. Being detained in Tacoma has a clear impact on people. It makes them give up and accept deportation. Many people in detention that come from DOC would like to further deportation and stay home. Yet after many years in prison serving their sentences and not knowing how long they will be detained at this private detention center, they end up giving up. Even then, many don't get deported immediately. Many might remain for years in this private detention center. I want to make sure that we get clear that it is very important. There's a distinction here. We're not saying do not send people to federal detention. What we're saying is DOC is not their job to do that thing. Our job is to make sure that people finish their sentences, they are rehabilitated, and DOC should not cooperate with ICE in giving information. Let me just quickly give my example. I was undocumented. I was put in deportation proceedings because of my work precisely defending immigrant rights. Department of Licensing gave my information to ICE via an email. And all they said was, this person has a final deportation order, which was untrue. It was a lie. So we should not do that. We already have a good system in place. We just need to align the Department of Corrections with what we already have in place. Stop discriminating people because they're undocumented. And please vote for SB 5270. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have Elisa, who is up on virtual. Good morning. You may begin.
Oh, it's super late over here in Georgia, but I'm going to do the best that I can. And it's hard for me not to cry because I can't. To me, it's just hard to see how sometimes in government we have so much that we can do to change people's lives. I'm the sister of someone who is incarcerated right now and whom has a green card. And if when he finishes his sentence, you know, the information is shared with ICE and immigration, he's going to be sent back home. Things are pretty bad at home. You know, there's a lot of war going on over there against gangs and all of that stuff, and crimes are just crazy. And I don't know if you guys know, but Honduras is the #1 country in crime, one of the #1s. And I see the great work that the detention facility where he is currently doing. And I am super happy and excited to support, you know, the programs that are already in place, which, you know, it goes with the mission of what the DOC are created and we're created for, you know. And one of the big things that gets to me is being able to support people's success. And reading the mission statement as a reminder for me, and I guess for you all who are listening at this moment, it's one of the things that it says is, you know, it's committed to our community, understanding people, instilling hope in people, embracing change, providing opportunities. That is already in place. That's already being done. And all of that is money that is being well invested. I can only speak to you from the experience of my brother. And let me tell you that for the years Elmer has been in there, the work that has been done through the system is amazing. I mean, Elmer in there has 3 college degrees. He's already getting access to that stuff that in this case, Manuel didn't really get to. So he's getting that service. He's getting, you know, that mission that they're for, it's being lived through him. And I know that there's a few more in there. And so by not supporting the bill 5270, we're going against of who you guys are and what you're for. And so my testimony, honestly, and I'm just I guess the emotions get through me because I'm the family member of someone who's waiting to get out.
Yeah.
And for us, the family, we're all U.S. citizens. We're all here. In this case, thank God, we have our documents, but we do believe there are brothers and sisters who have already paid their sentences, all of the investment that you guys have already done in them and in everyone in there. And if you just, you know, provide and share this information, it's like you're not going to see the fruit of what you've invested in. Because the whole point is that we're trying to hope and give people a way, you know, to become better for our communities, because they're going back to our communities, but you won't be able to see the fruit of that labor. So I just vote, you know, for that bill to pass. I'm pro 5270. I thank you for your time.
So thank you. And I'm just going to say thanks for your testimony. But before you jump off, we would like you to say for the record, who are you?
I'm so sorry.
You're okay. You did a great job. But we just want to make sure we have on the record who we're hearing from.
Yeah, my name is Elisa Cisneros, and I'm the sister for Elmer Cisneros.
And where are you coming from today?
I'm actually calling in from the state of Georgia, from the city.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent.
So that's where I'm.
Family members are incredibly important as we think about our full system of support, regardless of whether we're in DOC or we're in another facility or institution. And so your words and your voice today mean a lot. And I thank you for sharing your purpose and your passion, and your brothers are lucky to have you as an advocate. So thanks today for your testimony.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we have one more testifier, and I believe in person, Madam Chair. Oh, Senator Saldaña, come on up. They teed you up very well. We've had a couple of, really 3 folks who have testified, and so you're going to be in the middle talking about your why, and then we'll wrap up with our last testifier. Thank you for being here, and we know you have a busy schedule.
Oh, thank you so much. I know all of you have very busy schedules as well. And I do appreciate you hearing the bill that's before you. The Department of Corrections has a policy to make sure that we don't put folks, Washingtonians, in double jeopardy. And yet I have heard, and you have heard now, some testimony that is very alarming and really has created major suffering and challenges and burdens to people that live in Washington, their families, and our community. And so we know that people make mistakes. And if they made a mistake and broke a law, we hold them accountable in Washington. And then when they complete and restore and have done their time, I believe is a value of ours that we give people second chances to come back and integrate into their communities. And that in Washington State, we have put on the record that we do not discriminate, and we do not, on the status or immigration status or where you come from. And yet it does seem like there is a practice or that has occurred in Department of Corrections at some point before release that if you are born in a different country or you are perceived to not have immigration status, that they are instead of letting them come back into their communities where they live and where they work, they are handing them over to immigration. And that is a practice that we in Washington State have said that is one that we do not support, that we have put laws in place to be able to keep Washington working and to make sure that we are also making sure that we are not discriminating. And so I have put this before you so that we can understand how we can better ensure that once someone has done their time, that they don't continue to be punished because of things that are outside of our control of the state of Washington.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the prime sponsor?
Thank you.
Thank you. You probably have roller skates on because you're like going from place to place. So, and with that, I will, Vice Chair, why don't we call up our last panelist?
We do have Tim Warden-Hertz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're going to wrap us up on this bill today, so thanks for being here.
And maybe the whole hearing, but tough acts to follow. Good morning, Chair Wilson and members of the committee. My name is Tim Warden-Hertz. I'm the Directing Attorney for the Tacoma Office of the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. I'm here to testify in support of 5270. And you've heard so much about the bill already. I just want to emphasize a few things. First, like you heard, in line with the DOC policy, DOC made a policy change in December of 2021 to limit the types of information that were shared with immigration. So in line with that change, however, we've still seen other types of information shared. And so this expands that to ensure that Washington state resources aren't used to do federal immigration work, right? The state certainly can't interfere with federal work, but doesn't need to spend state resources to do that work. And, as Governor Inslee said when announcing Executive Order 17-1, he said, officers are here to keep the public safe, not to act as ICE officers, right? And so that's what this bill ensures. And I also want to emphasize that this bill keeps Washington safer. It keeps Washington safer because, as you heard, access to the programming that DOC provides is so important to give everyone a chance to successfully re-enter their communities. And currently, if one has an ICE detainer on them, it actually ups your offender score in the Department of Corrections, just that detainer does, and so limits the access to programming that you might have. And just as a quick example, I have a client currently who's been in the Department of Correction for 12 years. He was sentenced as a young man for a crime he committed. He still has several years to serve on his sentence. ICE issued a detainer on him early on. He was born originally in Somalia. He's had that detainer on for 12 years. His offender score was upped because of that. After we connected with him, we were able to research. Turns out he's actually a United States citizen. But that detainer is on him. And again, it emphasizes ICE detainers, unlike a warrant, are not tested in court They're not based on probable cause. They're just based on some officer signing a piece of paper. And so, again, making sure that everyone in the DOC custody has access to all of the programming that's available so that they have the best chance of reentering society. That's what we should be looking for, and that's what this bill does. And I urge your support. Happy to take questions.
Any questions from members? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone who came to testify on all the bills. Thanks for committee members for sticking with us on the exec session, and appreciate our work together. There was a list I was a little nervous about, but we got through the list, so that's always a good test. And with that, I will close this committee hearing on human services. Thanks so much.